Folks, to say that the events over the past couple of days were choreographed, in my opinion, is an understatement. Donald Trump was getting his butt kicked left and right over the past couple of weeks regarding, obviously, the failure to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, his ability to put into place his Muslim ban, and that's what it was, various things. And the straw that basically broke the camel's back, in my opinion, was that the legislative loss. Donald Trump, all throughout his campaign, was talking about how much of a winner he was and how he could get things done, etc., etc., etc. So he needed a win in the biggest of ways. And what creates a win more than anything else is attacking another country. Now, when I say choreographed, I do mean choreographed. Let's start with Secretary Tillerson signaling, or actually he stated that the removal of Assad was no longer high up on our list of things that we needed to get done. Well, why would he say that? He should have basically just kept his mouth shut. But again, here is the choreographed piece. Vladimir Putin, who knew full well that there were chemical weapons being used in Syria, tells Donald Trump to signal that Assad isn't high up on the totem pole. Okay? Assad now gets the green light from Mr. Putin to do a massive chemical strike against his citizens. Okay? Now all of a sudden Donald Trump sees this, quote unquote, on TV and starts crying about the beautiful babies that were killed. Well, I got a question for you. There have been chemical strikes going on all along, and we were aware of it, and you were aware of it. And those chemical attacks were in violation of the signed agreement between Syria, Russia, the United States, and the UN. So why didn't we go after him when we first got notice of those chemical attacks? I don't know. Maybe you do. But now, with this latest chemical attack being plastered all over mainstream media, Mr. Trump all of a sudden gets, I guess, a heart for those dead children. But the funny thing about that is, if he was so concerned about the children that were under attack, why hasn't he changed his policy as far as refugee status for Syrians, especially children? And he specifically stated that there is no change in the policy. So yeah, he's concerned about the beautiful babies being killed by chemical attacks, but he's not willing to do anything about it as far as trying to at least give them a safe haven. That's one. Number two, since Mr. Assad knew, based on Secretary Tillerson's statements, that he was not going to be directly sought after because of any actions that he took, he green-lighted a massive chemical attack. And I also want to draw your attention to the tepid response of Vladimir Putin as far as merely condemning the United States. And now they, quote unquote, are going to build up the missile defense system that's in Syria after the fact. Now, that doesn't even take into account that Donald Trump called Vladimir Putin, or Vladimir Putin called Donald Trump. But anyway, there was communication between the two. And you'll note that there is no reported loss of life by any Russians. And I haven't really heard any about any loss of life, though I assume that there is some, of the Syrian people that were at that particular airfield. Number 3, 59 missiles were fired at that particular airfield. They didn't destroy the takeoff fields, the landing fields. Those weren't destroyed. They weren't even targeted. They basically used 59 Tomahawk missiles to knock out buildings, okay? It's been reported and confirmed that aircraft the following day were taking off and landing at that field. So what actually did that accomplish? Well, it accomplished a couple of things. Number one, mainstream media is now reporting that Donald Trump is acting presidential. And I have to tell you, if firing missiles is the rational act of a president, if that's what makes a president, then this country's got a serious problem. Number 2, it gets all of that bad publicity that Trump was getting off of the front page. Number 3, there's nothing like firing missiles at another country to bring the war hawks out and even moderate Democrats out in support of the president. Because anytime a president takes any type of military action, everybody normally gets on board. So it wouldn't surprise me if the president's popularity ratings took a major jump. Because after all, if you're the biggest, baddest boy on the block, everybody wants to pretty much be in your camp. But for those who want to look beyond the obvious, Donald Trump basically is an idiot. The actions that he took actually had no consequence. Assad is still in place, still in power. He has no fear. The Russians, as far as I'm concerned, are still pulling Donald Trump's strings, even though I will give credit to Nikki Haley. She did do a lot of tough talking, though I fear that there is nothing to back up the tough talking that she did in the UN. We did not knock out any of the anti-missile defenses that we should have in case future action is needed. And net, we're in the same place that we were in, except that Donald Trump's got a big smile on his face. Mainstream media is behind him. The Republican Party, for the most part, is obviously behind him, even though his actions may have been illegal because he didn't go to Congress to get authorization. And just because Assad was killing his own people, that actually was not, I repeat, it was not anything that could be considered an act against America or America's interest. So there are a lot of people out there playing chess, folks. Donald Trump needed win desperately, and he got it. Putin needed to make sure that Assad was not threatened. He got that. All of the poor publicity, i.e. Devin Nunes is off the table. Mitch McConnell declaring a nuclear option was pushed to the back page. As far as I can see, Donald Trump did get the win that he was looking for in more ways than one. But there's going to be a price to pay for all of this, and hopefully that price for us is not going to be that large, though the price that the people living in Syria are going to have to pay is going to be, in my opinion, humongous.